Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back to our mentoring recovery support group. And this is a group or a segment where we get to talk and discuss about some very important things that I believe is very, very important when it comes to recovering from drug addiction or alcohol addiction or whatever addiction that you may have. And so today, I would like to share with you an article that I think is very important that need to be discussed, it should be discussed, and especially when we're talking about on the lines or in the field of recovery. So today, I'm going to bring an article. Uh, I'm going to be sharing an article that is from greenhillrecovery.com. You can go online and retrieve this article. It's from greenhillrecovery.com. All right. And so my name is Craig. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's talk about it and see what we have here. Today's title, all right? Today's title is, you can see it's scrolling across the bottom of your screen, Life Skills for Recovery After Addiction Treatment. Life skills, plural, for recovery after addiction treatment. This is our mentoring recovery support group. And so let's see what's first topic of discussion is what are life skills? All right, what are life skills? The article starts off by letting us know that life skills are incredibly important to develop after addiction treatment. Not only will these skills help individuals succeed in daily life, but they are necessary for living an independent life. Life skills cover a broad area. These skills are important for performing nearly every task in daily life. They can be as mundane as learning how to tie a shoelace to as essential as proper communication. Okay? So it can be simple as tying a shoelace, or how to learn essential as proper communication and interpersonal skills. Typically, life skills are defined in 6 key areas, right? We have 6 key areas that this article wants to share with us in telling or letting us know about life skills. Typically, these life skills are defined in 6 key areas according to the World Health Organization, all right, better known as WHO. These areas are like skills include number 1 out of the 6, communication and interpersonal skills. Number 2, creative and critical thinking. 3, problem solving and effective decision making. Number 4, self-awareness. Number 5, assertiveness and self-control. And number 6, resilience and the ability to cope. While this list is not an exhaustive list of skills, all these traits are important to be able to live independently and to be successfully during recovery. To avoid relapse, it is important to take all these skills into account and reflect on one's strengths and challenges. It may also be helpful to talk to a mental health professional to identify any lagging life skills, right? And so it says work on your strength and identify some of your challenges, all right? Continue to work on your strengths and identify some of your challenges, all right? Next topic of discussion, and that is, why are life skills important for recovery? I'm glad you asked. Although refraining from using substances is the most obvious steps in addiction recovery. There are several other steps that the individual may have to go through to avoid relapse and proceed with recovery process. And proceed with the recovery process. To fully recover from an addiction, the individual must reflect on the past issues that may have impacted their addiction from the start. Once these life skills and potential issues have been identified, the individual can attend therapy or work with a mental health professional to start to redevelop these skills. All right. And so the first skills the article wants us to recognize is personal life skills after treatment. After treatment, an individual must learn to develop personal life skills such as communication, empathy, right? And interpersonal skills, right? These skills are important for repairing past relationships, all right? Working on yourself, maintaining past relationships, and developing new relationships. The next bullet, self-care. This is very important. Self-care is very important to all of us. While it is a buzzword, self-care is one of the most important activities that anyone can partake in to feel good. Self-care can be as simple as going for a daily walk or taking time to oneself. But the key is that the activity is something that the individual enjoys doing, right? Something that you must enjoy doing, whatever it may be that you enjoy doing and that brings satisfaction, bring happiness, bring vigor into your life. Work on and keep doing. All right. Having daily routine, staying active, right? Daily routines can help maintain life skills. For that reason, it is important to establish every team that works with an individual schedule and make sticking to it a priority, right? Have a schedule, have a plan, stick to it, be consistent, all right? Follow through with it, all right? Maintaining stress, all right? I was talking to a young lady on the phone earlier, and she's believes she has some health challenges, and so I thought it was necessary to encourage her and let her know that try to avoid stress situations and concentrate on her health, because she said she was losing so much weight in a fast time period. So I told her, that was just my advice from a recovery coach perspective. I'm not a doctor, even though she says she's going to see a doctor and get a better diagnosis. But in the meantime, while she's waiting, I try to encourage her and let her know that, hey, listen, take some time for self. All right, managing stress. Let's see what this article says. All right, I know I said something. Let's see what the article says. Because stress is one of the leading causes of relapse, it is important to use coping mechanisms to properly manage stress, right? Additionally, an individual must be able to identify when they are feeling stressed and locate potential triggers to properly manage that stress. Emotional control, right? Emotional control is important to maintain not only relationships, but oneself. Substance use harms executive functioning, which is an individual's ability to control impulses and manage themselves. It would take time to regain control of one's emotions, but self-care and stress management are great ways to do so. Right? So a lot of times when people who we believe, or sometimes I myself can may get out of control with certain behaviors, and so I must manage that get a hold of it, and get some type of control over that. All right. And so let's move on to the next one. Important life skills needed after rehab. All right. So this is something that, like the article made mention of, it's okay to focus on the alcohol and the drug because that is very important to our recovery, to our sobriety. But there are other areas of our life that we need to focus on so that we don't fall into certain traps or certain situations that can lead to relapse. All right. Important life skills needed after rehab. While many life skills involve being able to cope with stressful emotions and manage one's stress, other life skills involve tasks that help the individual live independently and without the assistance of others. Some of the other life skills that will likely be needed after rehab include the following. This is major. Finding a job. Finding employment post-rehab can be difficult, right? However, some rehabilitation centers will help in applying for jobs and resume help. These are key. Managing your finances. These are some key areas. Managing one's money is important to achieving independence. Some of the aspects of managing one's finances include opening it's a big account, right? They don't say bank account, it's a opening a big account, saving money, paying off debt, learning to live on a budget, not living above our means. All right. So if we come in post rehab and we're working on finances and we're working on employment, we have to know the limits, right? Can't eat out at fast food restaurant every day or every other day. And we know that one thing about finances is that uh, your revenue will have to exceed your expenses, right? If you want to stay on top of your finances, our revenue, let's just say, let me use myself. I must be reminded that my revenue have to exceed my expenses. All right. Home maintenance. All right. This is another one. If you own a home, right, or if you need certain things for your household, let's see what this article says. It is important to maintain one's home. Home maintenance does not necessarily mean learning plumbing or electrical work, but simply that the individual must learn how to clean a home and make sure that all appliances and systems are operating safely, right? Maintaining, that's the key word, maintaining. Cooking, this is another one. Cooking and understanding nutrition are important skills for living a healthy lifestyle. That's something that I have been working on for the past 3 weeks is eating properly. My wife and I, we have been fruit, vegetable, water type meals. And so I want to press and see how far I can go beyond these few years, through few months that I've, excuse me, Lord, few weeks that I've have been working on eating nutritious meal. I haven't been able to work out like I want to. However, I'm working on that as well. Next one. All right. These are some good topics of discussion. Life skills for recovering addicts. What are they? While many treatment centers will offer group discussions and treatment sessions that discuss life skills, the recovering individual must understand the best ways to remain in recovery and avoid relapse. When it comes down to the definition Life skills training has its base in self-care and recognizing potential trigger. Remember, read that again. When it comes down to the definition, as this article says, life skill training has its base in self-care and recognizing potential triggers. All right. Another one, avoid risky situations because relapse can occur if the recovering individual sees people or past places associated with past substance use. That individual should avoid any tempting or risky situation that could compromise their recovery, right? People, places, and things. If you haven't heard that, that is so vital and so key to all of us, especially for myself. I know that just being around certain environments, certain situations can lead me into my old stinking thinking, right? Developing coping mechanism, all right? Developing coping mechanism, all right? It says many people first turn to drugs or alcohol to cope with stressful life events or situations, right? Someone in recovery should figure out which coping mechanism work for them. The coping mechanism could be as simple as taking the time to participate in deep breathing or removing oneself from the situation to go for a walk outside. These are coping mechanisms. All right. Next one, managing stress and emotions. Figuring out how to identify one's emotion and interpret them as a difficult thing to achieve. However, when someone is recovering from substance abuse, they can reflect continuously on their emotions and how emotions impact their behavior. Once the emotions have been identified, it's easier to employ a coping mechanism. This is key, and figure out a way to remove the stressor. Once the emotions have been identified, it is it's easier to employ a coping mechanism and figure out a way to remove the stressor. All right. A lot of times when we talk about triggers, cravings, and urges and things like that, uh, it often reminds me that one should be able to identify uh, what are these triggers, what are these feeling, what are these thoughts, what are the things that are making me feel uncomfortable at this given time. And once I'm able to identify, as this article says, I'm able to remove the stressors. All right. It talks about earlier on, all right, coping mechanism, developing coping mechanism, going for a walk, right? Taking deep breathing exercise. These are good coping strategies. Uh, some self-reflecting. All these things are very important when it comes to managing stress and emotions. Developing a routine. Developing a healthy routine can be a great way to assist in recovery. By sleeping well at night, this is key for me because I believe I function well when I get adequate and proper rest, right? Maintaining a healthy diet, all right? We talked about that earlier. Getting physical exercise and employing self-care. The individual may be able to reduce their likelihood of a relapse. So I hope this information has some key points, some key areas that we all can identify our strength, some of our challenges, and be able to improve upon certain areas in our recovery journey. All right. And so let's talk about this one here because we help people with sober living funding. That what that entails, we help people with housing, all right, sober living housing assistance for 1 month. And so we get them initially started, and then they have to take the reins uh, for themselves and move forward. Sober living can include a set of life skills. Living a stable, alcohol and drug-free environment can be a crucial step to recovery. However, this environment can be difficult to find. Many individuals choose to go to a sober living facility as part of their recovery, right? Sober living is a safe place where an individual lives with other people who are also recovering from substance addiction. Living in recovery, that's another one, right? Living in recovery. Recovering from substance use addiction is more than simply abstaining from using alcohol or drugs. Recovery requires continuous growth, continuous working on yourself, change, and an improved sense of self. Additionally, living in recovery means that the individual needs to continuously reflect on their action as well as their impacts. It is vital to note that living in recovery is for life. It is not something that the individual will simply stop. It is a continual process, right? Every day. You hear people say 1 day at a time. You hear people say 1 day at a time. That lets me know, or it reminds myself that what can I do today different or better than I did yesterday, right? And so I'm continuously finding ways to improve, right? Being able to ask for help. Wow. Swallow your pride. I know a guy who used to tell us all the time. He was a little older than us, and he would always say, sometimes you just have to swallow your pride. This article says, being able to ask for help. Being able to ask for help is an important life skill itself. And it is also a great way to help avoid relapse, right? Identifying triggers and relapse warning signs is one step closer to managing substance abuse, but it is not complete with being able to ask for help. Additionally, no one should be afraid to ask for help, and living in a sober living facility may give the individual the courage to reach out if they need more support, right? Don't be afraid to ask for assistance. Oftentimes, I learned through my experience that when I'm doing what's right and working on getting better, and if I run into a stumbling block, and I remember a situation. I was in college, and I was much older at the time, and it was younger people. I was having this problem working on, I believe it was a computer issue or something to that nature. And I seen a young person, and I said, let me just ask. I went over and asked, and they were so kind enough to stop what they was doing and help me out, and to help me and show me how to figure out that situation. So it was a life learned lesson that when you doing something that's good, people are willing to help you do good as well. So word to the wise, all right? All right, so the next one we want to talk about, and that is substance abuse support groups. Partaking in substance abuse support group is a great way to help promote life skills and self-care, because the members of the group are engaging in discussion and talking about positive ways to manage addictive behavior. The use of groups not only builds social skills and camaraderie, but helps support an individual as they maneuver the recovery process. All right, so that's it for this week. I hope this information is very informative. Until the next time, please join us every Thursday. We're going to try to bring you more information dealing with life skills, dealing with mentoring, because this is a mentoring recovery support group. And the goal is to provide information that we can help someone. And as we help someone, that person no matter who they may be, can help someone else along the way. All right? Until the next time, my name is Craig. Take care of yourself. Love on someone.